we are going to learn how to make beer.
This is Patrick.
I'm Patrick. There are 4 main ingredients to beer. First, you got water. Use natural mountain spring water. You want to use filtered water so there's no chlorine or anything to give off tastes. The next main ingredient is the barley. This is crushed barley, and it is a grain. They malt it so that the enzymes break down the starches and the sugars. The barley gives a lot of the sugars, which produce alcohols in your beer. Next ingredient are the hops. These come in hop pellet form, which are concentrated from the hop plant. The next is the yeast. This is a starter batch, which is a mini batch of beer. If you look underneath, you can see the yeast sediment at the bottom. The steps to making beer are as follows. Mash, which consists of putting the grains in the hot water. Sparging, which is rinsing the grains and extracting all of the liquids with sugars in them. You do the boil, where you put the hops in, boil this for an hour, and then cool it down to room temperature. After that, you pitch the yeast, which simply means add the yeast to the batch and let it sit. For this type of beer, we are making a lager. This is a very simple beer, very basic beer, not too many ingredients. We have 8 pounds of 2-row American pale malt, 1 pound American Vienna, and 1 pound Carapils. These are common in any type of lager. The first step in making the beer is the mash. The mash is getting hot water, which we have on a kettle here. You throw the grains in it and let that sit for an hour. We want it to be around 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Pour the grains in and stir. We are using a total of 10 pounds of grain to make 5 gallons of beer.
It kind of smells like oatmeal.
Yeah. Temperature is perfect. We want it between 150 and 155 for an hour. So as we let this sit, put the lid on, keep the heat in, let this sit for an hour, stirring occasionally until the next step.
And tell your mom that you spilled.
Sparging is when you rinse grains with hot water. So we're heating up some extra water for the sparging process, which means rinsing the grains and extracting all the useful sugars with water that we will make into beer. This is the mash that has all the grains and liquid in it. We pour it into this bucket. This bucket has 2 levels and has a filter in between so that we can filter out the barley and just collect the liquid. Comes out a little cloudy at first, but as we recirculate it, it'll clear up. Now that we have sparged and collected all the liquid from the grains, we have a big pot of sweet wort. We are waiting for it to boil. Once it boils, we'll boil it for an hour and then add the hops. We'll add in a bag so that we can remove them easily later. There's so much sugar in the beer that if you leave the heat on full bore, it will boil over. We gotta turn it down when it starts boiling so it doesn't create a mess. Last time we were brewing beer, and now it has been sitting in the fermenter for 2 weeks now. We got an airlock that lets the gas out. The beer is ready to be bottled or kegged. Kegging is a lot simpler. You pour it in the keg and put pressure on it. Bottling, we put it in bottles and allow it to sit to build up the pressure inside of the bottles with a secondary carbonation. Now that our keg is empty and clean, so to start the siphon, we need some liquid in the tube in order to pull a vacuum on the beer and let the beer flow. Fill this up with water. We don't want the first bit of liquid since that is just the water in the tube. I'll drain it in the cup and the rest goes into the keg. We want to collect a sample
To test the alcohol?
to test the alcohol. We want to siphon it and leave behind the trub on the bottom because this is all dead yeast. Now we put it in the fridge and hook up the CO2. Now that we have our sample here, we will take our hydrometer and let it float in here. Depending on how high it floats, it measures the specific gravity so that we can tell how much sugar is in the liquid. Now let's go throw this sucker in the fridge and put some pressure on it.
Under pressure.
Keg goes in here. So we open up the gas here. And the pressure typically is between 10 and 12 psi on the gauge here. We have the regulator which you can adjust the pressure. You open up the valve to let the gas into the keg. Then 2 or 3 times we will shut the gas off and vent the keg. This lets all the oxygen out so that we can fill up the air inside with just CO2. Oxygen after fermentation is the enemy and can make beer sour. So we want to remove the oxygen and replace it with CO2. And that's it. Now the keg is pressurized. We let it sit in here for about 2 weeks and then enjoy.